What do you think?
You can't go in there.
Come on.
Wait a
What's good, guys? It's Alissa. If you're new here, hello. It's only right that my first video of the year is on the topic of Daria, and honestly, it's just my favorite show to dissect. So in this video, I will be discussing season 2, episode 6, titled Monster, where Daria and Jane decide to film Quinn's day-to-day life for their school project. The episode starts with Daria, Quinn, and her dad watching old videotapes from their childhood. In the video, Quinn blows out Daria's birthday candles, and to be honest, her reaction was pretty reasonable from what I've seen from internet videos. Similar to other Daria episodes, this one sets up the plot for what's to come. This small interaction shows a glimpse of Quinn and Daria's dynamic and just how hostile their relationship is.
He wanted you to watch her birth? That could scar you for life.
The birth itself did that.
Some time later, Daria and her best friend Jane decide to go see a Russian film at their local movie theater. This particular scene was funny to me because Daria was just on a roll and kept letting the chopper sing on everybody.
I don't see any vegetables.
You should have my view.
After the movie, they spot their English teacher, Mr. O'Neill, who offers to drive them home. They were already pretty embarrassed to even be seen talking to their teacher, so they came up with an excuse to not accept that ride and just walk home. But it begins to thunderstorm, and declining that ride would be kind of foolish unless they had a good reason to walk home in the rain. It's definitely one of those moments where you just cross your fingers that you're gonna make it home because the circumstances were that dire.
Don't you want to sit in front, Daria?
I'd love to, but, you know, I'm afraid of an airbag injury.
In class, Mr. O'Neill presents them with a new group project that they'll be working on, that he credits Daria for from her exciting suggestion. When all Daria said was people would rather watch movies than read a book because it's fast and easy, to which Mr. O'Neill responded, "Thank you for the suggestion," and Daria asked to withdraw it, unaware that she even made one.
We have Daria to thank for this exciting suggestion.
There's that word again.
Another episode about a school project, except this time, I'll be covering one where Jane and Daria are actually partners. Daria's dad lends his precious video camera to her for her project. It's funny to me because for a media project during this time, a camera would not be that easily accessible for students to complete. But nowadays, our phones literally have built-in cameras, so students would be able to complete this project as far as filming and editing on their phone. I was one of those kids that didn't have a phone for the majority of high school, so projects like this were actually an inconvenience to me. Even nowadays, phones are not accessible to everyone, even though phones may be more accessible than they were back in the day. A movie, even for a school project, is not a small feat. After a few failed attempts such as recording the ground by having the camera sit in a tree all day, a dreary visual of Jane staring out of the window contemplating the end, and an embarrassing attempt at a movie with doll reenactments, they quickly find their subject when Daria's sister Quinn agrees to be filmed at a party for fashion flubs while wearing Daria's signature outfit. And I'm sure you all wanted to know what the side characters were up to in this episode as well. Brittany and Kevin want to do a romance movie centered around a woman who hasn't seen her significant other in a while because she's been in China. Their uninterested partners, Jody and Mac, would like to film a documentary on the supermarket strike. Brittany is opposed to this idea because she bought a gown for this specific moment and claims that she can't play a supermarket clerk in her gown. When Mac points out that she doesn't need the gown for the documentary, Brittany protests that she is not doing a nude scene for this movie. Unless, of course, he thinks it's crucial for her character. And the first thing I could think of was Mac better not answer this question. Daria and Jane settle on a documentary on a day in the life of Quinn Morgendorffer.
It's so nice to get home early and have a chance to make dinner.
At the dinner table, Daria and Quinn are telling their mom Helen about Daria's school project. Helen has her concerns due to Quinn possibly wanting her privacy. But in my opinion, I think that from the start, her mom had concerns about Daria's intentions with this project. As we saw in the beginning of the episode, there is video evidence of Quinn embarrassing Daria. Even though it may have been done in innocence due to them being children, I think that Daria may be wanting to get some get back by making this project. And of course, this conversation does not sit well with their mother. She comes to Daria and asks what she has in mind for this movie of Quinn. Daria brushes it off as some lame school project that she doesn't really have any intentions behind. Her mom just doesn't buy this because she points out that Daria has a tendency to judge other people's behaviors by a rigid set of standards that not everyone can live up to, even herself. This is in response to Daria claiming that she's doing this project to see what life is like from a perspective of someone who's attractive, and that she's curious of this perspective herself. She promises to go easy on Quinn, but when her mom exits the room, she says to herself,
But don't hold your breath.
basically confirming that her intentions with this project are malicious. Jane arrives at the Morgendorfers in the morning, and camera ready, Daria is rushing to film her expose of Quinn, claiming that mornings are not her best as far as appearances. And I think this is the part that confirmed to me that Daria's intentions were to expose Quinn to show who she really is. She literally used the word expose.
We're exposing a hollow, self-centered egomaniac.
And I can acknowledge that Quinn is not the nicest as far as how she treats people who are not at the top of the social hierarchy. But I guess my concern is, why would Daria want to do this to her own sister? It's pretty common for people to have a contrasting persona or appearance than who they are at home. In Quinn's case, she's not that different at home than she is in person. In fact, she found a group of like-minded girls at her school who share the same shallow views as her. So to me, it's just not the gotcha moment that Daria thinks it is, because anyone with common sense would know that Quinn does not wake up in a silk robe, hair brushed with birds chirping to match the ambiance. And it's not a crime for Quinn to separate her social life from her life at home. And that's her prerogative if she wants to keep up the illusion of being perfectly polished 24/7. But she should be able to let her guard down in the comfort of her own home. And it's also not Daria's job to burst that bubble or pull the curtain back. Also, Quinn is a freshman. That's pretty much all the commentary I have on that statement.
Don't you want to shoot me?
Yes, I want to shoot you.
You can support the channel by subscribing to my Patreon. Link in my description box down below. Okay, bye. Throughout this episode, Daria's dad is excited about the footage he recovered from his childhood. He starts to create narration to go along with the footage as he watches. But as he's watching, he remembers that he's not that fond of his childhood memories, which his wife Helen did point out to him before he even began viewing this footage. The rude awakening after remembering repressed memories is jarring. But I do like the idea of having videos and pictures pretty much creating a documentation of the moments that happen in your life, because sometimes that's all you have. And as someone whose childhood videos and pictures were lost in a storage between ages 6 or 8, I would love to be able to reminisce moments that are not at the forefront of my memories from my childhood. Whether they bring up negative or positive feelings, memory lane is always a path I like to stroll. The project continues, and Daria and Jane are still following Quinn around. Quinn goes to a yoga class and attempts to give profound advice on beauty in life. They then follow Quinn as she meets some friends at their frequented pizza parlor, and Quinn asks again which side they believe is her best side. This is something that Quinn asked in their initial taping of their documentary. And sometimes people say a lot by saying very little. And with Quinn constantly repeating this question, I believe in the process of filming this, it's slowly chipping away at her confident exterior. Constantly being on film and under a microscope 24 hours a day, Quinn begins to get in her head about her appearances. This, of course, is nothing new that we didn't already recognize about Quinn as we've seen throughout the series.
Quinn? Do you think this hairstyle means something? Cause it doesn't. All right. The whole school's going on a paintballing field trip.
Quinn is constantly self-conscious and frequently asks her peers how she looks to make sure that she's on at all times. And this may sound a little Daria of me, but their conversations do lack substance a lot of the time. Well, all of the time. So Jane and Daria actually do end up falling asleep while recording this particular segment of their documentary. They detour to the mall, which is Quinn and her friends in the fashion club's favorite pastime. And we know this because Quinn is well acquainted with the employees of certain stores.
If you ask for Teresa on Junior 5 and tell her it's for Quinn, she'll help you out.
Jane, being an artist, can't help but turn this film into an art film by easing away from the subject matter to film things unrelated to Quinn, but thought-provoking to her. Daria is just about sick of Jane being the director, so she decides to take matters into her own hands and film from there on. And I bet she's glad she did, because Daria captures the most controversial moment of the entire film. Again, under the microscope of a camera lens, Quinn keeps her persona on for as much as she can until she realizes that Daria is zooming in closer and closer to her face.
If you can see any of my pores on camera, I swear I'll kill you. Stop the tape! I do not have pores! My pores are cute! My pores are tiny! You're fired!
I'm sure that Daria got the satisfaction that she wanted in the process of filming this documentary, but one thing about a guilty conscience is that sometimes it shows up in your dreams. And honestly, seeing Jane's face with Tiffany's voice coming out was so creepy. After spending so many hours following Quinn around, Daria begins to inadvertently pick up on Quinn's mannerisms. Kinda like when I sit and watch a whole season of Love Island UK and start speaking in what I believe to be the perfect British accent.
But which is my best side, I know they're both good.
Hey, Daria.
As Jane and Daria are reviewing the footage from their project, Daria's mom enters the room and Daria hastily pauses the film. Helen points out that she hasn't seen Daria this amused since her sister fell down at her dance recital, to which Daria corrects her saying she was actually the one that fell. This particular exchange was interesting to me because Helen is aware of her daughter's estranged relationship, and it's actually similar to her relationship with her own sisters, which would be Daria and Quinn's aunts. And I think this is why Helen hasn't pushed Daria and Quinn too much to fix their relationship, because I don't think that she sees the parallels since she's older than them and she still hasn't fixed her relationship with her own sisters. As someone who has a close relationship with their sisters, I thought that the draft footage Daria decided on was pretty cruel. You would think that this was beef between two girls who didn't know each other from a can of paint. And after Helen sees the footage, she's taken aback by how cruel the footage is as well, especially after they already had a conversation earlier about going easy on Quinn for this project.
You know, Daria, I wouldn't let Quinn make a movie that made her sister look ridiculous.
How could she? She doesn't admit to having one.
Quinn claims that Daria is her cousin. After Helen's failed attempt at reverse psychology, Daria claims she doesn't have a conscience. That is until Quinn slyly pleads not to treat her too harshly in this documentary.
I know sometimes certain types of people might think, who does she think she is? I mean, it's like suddenly I'm outside myself watching and it's like, who are these girls? Can't they talk about anything but guys and clothes and cars? You have to be good at something. I figure being attractive and popular, that's what I'm good at. Maybe it's not really important, but you know, it's what I can do.
And it worked. The final cut of what we see of a day in the life of Quinn Morgendorffer, renamed The Depths of Shallowness, is a heavily toned down version of what we were initially gonna get. The mall freakout was completely cut from the movie and was not shown to their peers. Jane is not pleased with the decision to cut this portion out because that was their big finish. And to add to my point that I made earlier, since Daria and Quinn have an estranged relationship, I think that this makes Jane feel like she can be cruel to Quinn by association, which is something that I don't think I would personally let fly in this current time. I did state that I have a great relationship with my sisters, but there was a point in time, which I'll just chalk up to growing pains, where me and my sisters didn't see eye to eye. And to this day, I regret a situation where one of my old high school friends did something really cruel to my sister and I didn't stand up for her in that moment. But in hindsight, there would be no question to stand up for her with the mentality that I have now. I think that it's important to have a united front so that people don't get the wrong idea to treat your siblings in a cruel manner just because they see you doing it too. Quinn worried about how she'll be perceived by Daria's class after they watch the film, and Quinn's tendency to cut class, stumbles into the classroom after the film is over. She receives a standing ovation to the tune of that one song that plays at the beginning of the movie Superstar, which I'm sure is not the reception that Daria was hoping for from her film. Jody meets Daria and Jane after class to compliment them on the movie. She interpreted it as a social commentary to show the despair of superficial popular kids. Well, she's a ghost. She interpreted it as a social commentary to show the despair of superficial popular kids. As Quinn is soaking in all the praise in response to her movie, one of the students claims that Quinn is brave for being ashamed of her pores too, but they blatantly stated that they cut this part out in the movie. And as much as Quinn believes that she doesn't have any substance or talents outside of beauty and popularity, she has to give herself credit for being able to flip a situation that was obviously intended to tear her down into a triumph and capitalize off the moment.
And remember, fashion is fun and everything, but we should really do something about the rainforest and stuff.
Now, this episode is from season 2, and Daria and Quinn's relationship actually improves from the commentary that I give on this episode, which I think is great. I love to see it. But I would love to know your thoughts on this episode. Let me know down in the comments below. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you would like to keep up with me outside of YouTube, you can follow me on Twitter or Instagram. All that, along with any music that I use in my videos, will be found in the description box down below. But if you made it to the end of this video, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. And make sure you hit that notification bell to stay up to date with posts and uploads from me. But for now, I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and I hope to see you guys in my next upload. Peace!